All right, Geminis, welcome into your monthly reading. This is for December. So we're going to be wrapping up the year here and seeing how you guys are going to close it out. So some good stuff. How are you all feeling looking back at the entire year? What happened? Was it a challenging year? It was a year, it's kind of the term metaphor I'm using is it was a bridge year. So 2025 was probably seen as a year, as you're going from one side of the bridge to the other, essentially you're leaving behind one side. So it was definitely a year where we had some culminations, closing chapters, cycles, kind of leaving behind, things that we just didn't align with us anymore, or weren't working for us. There was a lot of focus on like how we're feeling about ourselves, feeling about life. Are we feeling fulfilled? Things like that. So let's take a look at December astrology. So there is kind of a focus, a good positive energy around relationships this month for you Geminis. There is a couple of planets in your 7th house as we move into December. So that's around relationships, and these are opportunities for you to strengthen relationships, dive a little deeper. Again, further commitments, things like that, and maybe even new energy if you're looking for a relationship. As we come to the full moon on the 4th, that's in your sign, Gemini. This is an opportunity to be clear about, clear about what you want, but also clear about boundaries. Like what's not working, what do you want to bring in? What are you kind of like, yeah, I'm not willing to do this anymore. And it's about creating a healthy dynamic with yourself, but also, with others. Then we have Mercury moving into Sagittarius on the 11th. So, and Mercury is your planet. So this is big around communication, and with Sagittarius lightens kind of things up. So this is a good time to have some conversations that are needed, talking things out, kind of addressing things, because the energy is not too hardcore. Or we also just completed Mercury retrograde the end of November. We are usually, once the planet goes direct, there is a bit of a shadow period, they call it, where the energy starts to wane, but it's not completely done yet, right? But it's going to start to lighten up through, the first 2 weeks of December. It's a good time to compromise with people and through communication. And same thing there's a Mercury-Pluto sextile on the 13th, which is also ideal for serious conversations, addressing big things, and getting some sort of movement or a resolution there. And then we have Mars on the 15th entering Capricorn. So this will kind of focus on our stability, our security, but also money. So it's a time to really either look at how are you managing your own money, supporting other people, but kind of creating some sort of long-term foundation that's going to produce some sort of, benefits to you. And also when Mars will join the Sun and Venus on the 21st, and that's also going to help from a money standpoint, attracting more money, bringing in more abundance, or definitely if there's been financial constraints, because the beginning of the month for a lot of signs, this has been a theme. Money's going to be a little iffy in the beginning of the month, tight, but as the month wanes, it's going to the energy around money is going to kind of flow more easily. And then the last thing, the new moon on the 19th, which is in Sagittarius. This is good for Again, new relationships coming in, creating like new, fresh energy. So this could be like leveling up a current relationship, deepening commitment, or just, again, kind of helping with producing some sort of connection if you're looking for something new. So those are kind of the general themes for you guys, Geminis, for the month. Before I start the reading, just wanted to say this is a general reading, right? So this is for the collective of Geminis, whether you're Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. So not every single reading of mine may hit home for you. Sometimes they will, but they may not. And that just means, you know, maybe it's, then I would go watch your other sign readings, your Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. Again, you can watch any of those, and one of them should give you some hit and give you some sort of information. If you don't know your rising, moon, or Venus sign, you can go online, Google like free birth chart, and you can find a site where then you need to enter in your birthday, your place of birth, so the exact city, location, and whether state or, you know, other country. And you do need to specifically know your time of birth as close as possible, because sometimes those transits can change within the hour. So really, to get the most accurate information, you'll have to dig around for your time of birth, if you can. I know some people just aren't able to do that, but... And then if you want a personal reading with me, definitely, if you're interested, take a look at my website, and you can book one there, which is on linked below in the description. And also, don't forget to take a look at my Etsy shop, especially moving into the holidays. I got some good gift ideas, especially for those people who are in the metaphysical spiritual realm. And I do hand make all stone crystal jewelry. They are energy tools. I do Reiki on all of them. I have, actually, not me personally, but I have a close connection who is a Reiki master who does Reiki on all my jewelry. And I also use the full moon energies and put them out during the full moon to cleanse and restore the stone. So they are all prepped and ready to go. High vibe stuff, so you can take a look and customize and see what kind of stone you need. Again, you can use stones for anything to support you in healing, any sort of emotional stuff going on, whether like addressing childhood traumas or, you know, grief. If you're going through some sort of grief or loss or big change in your life, they can help with manifestation. And you just want to find the stone that aligns with that. If you want to attract money, a new job, a new relationship, whatever it is, there is a stone out there for you. All right, let's get started here. So we are going to look first at your past energies that are kind of influencing you as you come into the month. So we have Bluebird, Spirit Happiness, and Cleansing Waters. So so again, we have Happy, and this Cleansing Waters, you know, even though she's like going through this purification, this feels really good to her. So I do feel like you're kind of coming into the month. This past energy does feel good. There's a lightness here. I do feel like you've been through the hardest part of the whole retrograde energy in November, and also the Grand Water Trine. And that really pushed us into our emotions. We had Scorpio season, we had the Grand Water Trine, we had a bunch of planets in retrograde, a bunch of planets in Scorpio and Pisces and Cancer. So that was like a time of deep diving into the emotional realm, which for Geminis, you're an air sign, you know, may not be the most comfortable, but you made it through. And I do feel like there was some sort of energy integration that happened. And I do feel your frequency is feeling better coming into the month. So let's get some tarot. We have the Queen of Wands. Yeah, you're kind of feeling on point. I feel like you've been like, You're feeling energized. There's this passion here. There's this focus on getting stuff done. Knight of Cups and the Magician. Oh, you're feeling really good here, Geminis. There could be someone specific, but this is referencing love and relationships as well. And I feel like you're feeling good about whether it's loving yourself or just where you're at in relationships, and you're working on the Magician here. So you're really manifesting some things. You're really trying to use, the Magician uses all of the his tools. So he uses his voice, his communication, he uses his intellect, he uses the physical world, his emotional world, and also his inspiration and passions to create the life he wants. Or if it's about relationship, creating the relationship. I do feel this powerful energy around you, Geminis. So I feel like you're coming into the month, the recent past here, you've been maybe having some good experiences that have kind of been invigorating you in regards to, especially, you know, what you're doing in your life. This is specifically something about your life in general, not specifically work. It can be just generally your life, but also it could be love here. All right, let's see where your current energies are. Earth, Spirit, Stability, and Voyage of the Heart. Yeah, there's and again, in the Stability card, I've never noticed this, but there's 2 swan mates in the bottom corner here. So there is some focus around love, and I feel like there's this wanting to create more stability in your life in general, but I feel like it's also tied to relationships. There's almost like a shift on your, like a focus on your relationships. And I feel like in your heart, there's something calling you in your heart, like, what are your needs and desires around relationship, what they look like, especially around like a romantic partnership. But I feel like a situation in your life potentially has been a voyage. And the reason you've been going through this is for you to dive deeper into your heart space, to clear any blocked trauma, past emotions, past belief systems. I'm also getting a distorted view on the feminine or the masculine. So this would be tied to your mother or father dynamic you had with them. And this has been coming up as a theme, just in general, the patterning of our relationship with the opposite sex or just partnership and what we're attracting in our lives. How are we showing up in relationship, and how our mother and father, our relationships with them, and not only the relationship, but what was the conditioning? Like how was our dynamic, and how did it create my own personality traits, my own coping mechanisms, how I view the world because of my parents' energy, their personalities, their traumas. So I feel like there's something there, and you've been going through potentially a relationship that's really asked you to really go like bare naked, like strip down the layers, go to the root of the issues. And what it's really been doing is help you to build a stronger foundation in yourself, but also create then a more stable foundation in your relationships. Liking that. The Empress, yes, that could be the mother energy or a partner. Queen of Pentacles, a lot of feminine energy here showing up. 8 of Wands. And look at, for some reason I looked and that the world was here. So I'm going to kind of put that down as like an overarching energy. But I feel like the world, like things are coming together, even whether you see it or not. I do feel like things are actually coming together for you, or you feel like they are. There is some sort of closure of a cycle that maybe, again, was a bit, it was a cycle that had a lot of lessons for you to learn. But you're really opening up this new path, this new period that's going to be different. As long as you really, you know, again, do the work and really see your own patterns, really look at the root, which could be, again, tied to the mother here. There's something around the feminine coming up for you guys. So there's really this focus on the feminine energy and the container that the feminine energy needs to thrive. So that could, if you're a feminine Gemini, that could be about you now moving forward, understanding like your focus, your priority should be the container at which you're surrounded, the energy that surrounds you that promotes you to thrive, not strive. And if you are, it's the same looking at relationships. This is what you want to build. So if you're a masculine Gemini, this is about your relationship with the feminine and how are you creating a container for the feminine to thrive. But to me, for masculines, and you may think this is like unfair, but really the masculine, part of the masculine energy is the representation of the physical. And also, how is the physical created to surround the feminine, which is more the ethereal energy that promotes the ethereal energy to thrive and to come through and promote, then vice versa, the physical. So the masculine really needs to understand the feminine and what does she need to thrive in your presence, in your relationship and connection. And I think a big thing here is around communication and how quickly you show up to her, like how you show up to her. What are you offering from a heart perspective? And the Magician too, like you have the power here. So whoever is listening, whether you're masculine or feminine, it's all about the power you have to kind of create whatever this new frequency looks like in your life here. And I love this because it's more grounded. You're able to manifest and grow things. You know, there's this sense of strong fertility going on, and that's not, I'm not speaking of pregnancy, but I'm just saying of the fertility of the energy that we're creating a ground that's so fertile that the seeds that we are really sowing are growing into just, you know, its fullest potential here. And that can relate to anything. It can relate to work, to money, to our families, our relationships. So good. I like this current energy here. Let's look at what's coming in our future state here. So we have the Wood Nymph, Beauty, and Joy and Delight. Open your heart to joy. So to me, for you Geminis in December, it's just about like smelling the roses. It's about like looking around you, noticing the things of beauty around you, and not just focusing on the tasks you have to do. And, oh, I have to do this. I have this checklist. I have to clean this, or I have to, you know, work on this project or work. And there's something about shifting to focus on like following your bliss this month and just opening your heart to what are the things that are going to bring you joy this month. That's all you have to do. This isn't a month to do like same. It was the same for November, but it's really also kind of going into December. But it is a month. It's an energy. Like we said, what is the container around us? What is the frequency? What is the energy? And for you to shift that, you need to shift your attention, but also like your outward action. Like, what are you putting your energy into? And it's not about projects. It's not about checklists, cleaning, taking care of other people. It's really about what's going to open you up to joy. So that's what's coming in, or what wants to come in. But you also have to, you know, meet it halfway here. It's like you can't just be this, you know, I'm going to pick on A-types, but like an A-type person or someone who's just a doer, and think, well, I'm just going to keep doing the same thing, expecting my heart to open or joy to come in, or me to like, I want beautiful experiences. But when you're so hyper focused on the to-do list and the checklist and the projects and, you know, the work and cleaning, and you're not even going to notice if these things show up in front of you. Wow, Lovers. More relationship energy. King of Pentacles and the Seven of Cups. I feel like the Seven of Cups has been coming up a lot. I am getting like there is some sort of decisions that need to be made in regards to love or relationships here. It's all going back to the basics again. It's like, instead of focusing too much on the physical, right? On how does this physically look like? Where's my current work status? Like, how much money in the bank? Like, am I appealing to a relationship? It's like, well, but what do I really want to feel? Like, what are my needs and desires? I think there needs to be a real re-looking at going deep, which I think you've been kind of doing, or your higher self has been asking you to go deep and go to the emotional sphere. But it's like getting back in touch with your most basic root, your authentic self. And for a lot of humans in this world, we've pushed down our needs and desires for a very long time, since we were children, because we grew up in an environment where our specific needs and our needs and desires as a specific, unique individual were never really taken account, right? Like, most of the time, especially the baby boomer age, that was just, it was kind of the time. We've come a long way since then. We've awakened, we've grown in our consciousness and realized that each individual person is unique and their needs and desires are unique. And as parents, we need to support each child individually and see them for who they really are and what are their specific needs and desires, and how do we have to, you know, shift and change. You know, maybe we have a child that's, you know, more emotional and likes physical connection, right? So we give them more of that, where our other child likes more, you know, likes to just enjoy time together and like having that one-on-one time. They don't really need you to, like, you know, give them a lot of hugs and stuff, but they really like it. They want to do things that they enjoy. So if you have a kid who's really into, you know, is active and likes to get out and play sports or something, like spending time doing those things they love is kind of what they need from you. So again, that's how we need to look at relationships. But if we don't know what our own needs and desires are, how are we going to meet someone else's, right? So this is what's coming in here at some point. I do feel like there's this reevaluation of relationship, the choices you're making in your life. Do they align? Also, are the choices you're making in your life, are they aligning with your own needs and desires, or are they coming from a place of trauma, or a place of coping mechanisms, or a place of belief systems that are blocking you? Like, oh, there's this deep belief system of I'm not good enough unless I'm constantly producing at a high level. So that's how you live, but that's not really doing it for you. All right, so let's look at what's the good stuff that we want to look at. What's the good stuff for this month? So we have Strength, Ancient Oak Tree, Spirit, and then Transformation. A fresh new way of living emerges. Yes, this is what's happening. This is the transformation you're going through. I feel like you've been there's been some lessons this year. There's been some situations that maybe were difficult, but what the lesson here for you is creating a whole new way of living, creating a whole new life of what is the energy in my life? What does it look like? How am I spending my day to day? And it's about strengthening and creating a more solid foundation that, for one thing, love can actually grow upon and be successful. But this is positive. I feel like you are doing this, and this is where what's coming out of this whole year and where you're going to be shifting into 2026. And I feel like for you Geminis, 2026 is about making this real. It's about really now experiencing that stronger foundation in the physical world, like you've been manifesting this, but you had to go through the purification process and the lessons that 2025 brought to you. Seven of Pentacles. So we have 7 of Cups, 7 of Pentacles, 8 of Swords, and the High Priestess. So you are definitely getting unstuck. I feel like you've been in I'm hearing like a predicament, but it's all more mental. Like you've been really racking your head about a certain situation. It could be a relationship, but you've been kind of stuck in this mental, like your mentality has kept you stuck. And that's why your foundation has not been solid. That's why your relationships have suffered, because you don't know how to get out of your own way. This can also be like self-sabotaging behavior, because the 8 of Cups really represents self-bondage. This is like self-inflicted stuckness because of your mindset. So I do feel like you're coming out of this. Since this is the good stuff, I do feel like you've gotten a lot of High Priestess here. Like you're getting a lot of hits from like your higher self, from just like downloads coming in, like things making sense, lessons being learned. You're kind of understanding, oh, now I see why I went through that, why things ended up the way they did. But you've really grown through this from a spiritual standpoint. And now I feel like the seeds you've been sowing, there's something that's producing now. Like you've invested in some way, in some area of your life. And I do feel like, well, especially from a growth standpoint, those of you who are really invested in growing from the inside out, there's going to be some like payoff here. Because like the 7 of Pentacles is about investment, about equity, of where you're putting your energy and time. However you've been doing that, depending, right? If it's about growth from a personal standpoint, it's going to pay off in dividends here. But if you've been focusing your energy on things because of your belief systems that, again, are, I'm going to say they're wrong because they are not true. Like if going back to the example I used, if you constantly are living off this, I'm only good if I'm producing a lot, which means maybe you're a workaholic. Maybe you have some sort of addictive behavior patterns, or maybe it's, you know what, it's like so much focus on the physical, like, oh, I work, I put energy, I need money. Like money equates to your success instead of your relationships. This isn't going to pay off. And actually, in the end, your relationships are going to suffer. And really, I feel like your money is going to suffer too. Because I feel like this isn't really your heart's truth. This is your distorted trauma that's been, at the forefront, driving everything. Okay, let's get a couple just clarifiers quick. What's with the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Wands? Knight of Pentacles. So something's been kind of slow to progress. Maybe you've kind of been diligent about a relationship, but it hasn't grown. It's been very slow, and I feel like that could have been a problem. And that's where, eventually things are going to be stale. Like if you're not putting enough focus and attention and energy into a relationship, and you're just kind of well, we'll get here someday, or we'll get there someday, it's gonna fail. And I think there's something here about if you're single Geminis and you just feel like, you've been single for a while and it's just like steady Eddie and nothing's really, you know, happened in the love department. I do feel like that's going to shift. But that's definitely been the past energy for you. What's the Eight of Wands about? Nine of Wands. I'm getting there's something here maybe with if it's around a certain person, I feel like there's this energy of don't give up. But you have to be quick on the draw right now in December. Like, you have to take advantage of the energies. Like, you can't keep dragging your feet. So if there's an opportunity for a relationship, you have to take it and run with it and make it successful, or like, you know, make the commitment. Because there's something about Nine of Wands of like, contemplating. It's been a long road. Like, what do I do? But maybe you need to also speak your truth and speak how you feel about it. The Empress, Queen of Pentacles, Page of Cups. Yeah, it's about an offer here. So what are you offering? Or what is this other person offering? So you could be receiving an offer from somebody, or, you know, you may need to put out an offer, but this is an offer of love. Could be messages of love. So what's with the King of Pentacles? Oops, the Sun. Yeah, what is, you know, what, yes, exactly, with the Seven of Cups. What is your happiness here? What are your desires? What are your dreams? I think you need to reevaluate that and make sure that what you're doing day to day is opening yourself up to joy, opening yourself up to happiness. Because if it's doing the opposite, then you're not doing the right thing and you're not investing in the right thing. Seven of Pentacles, Eight of Swords, Chariot. Yeah, you're moving out of this stuck energy, which I love. And the High Priestess, Page of Wands. Yeah, I feel for some of you, your gifts of like intuition and clairvoyance are really, you're kind of leveling up here. And you're really starting to play around. You're playing around with guidance, with your intuition, with your metaphysical abilities here. Because I do feel like you're getting new synchronicities are going to be big in December for you, Geminis. So be on the watch for those, because they are guiding you along your path. They're like the crumbs leading you to the next, you know, where you need to go next. So keep watch for that. I really love your reading, Geminis. This is some great energy. You guys have a great December, and I've been letting everyone know that I'm going to be doing a 2026 yearly forecast for all the zodiac signs, so look for that later next month. We'll get a rundown of the themes for next year, and there'll be an extended where I'm going to actually dive into specifically love and romance for you, and then work and career. Okay, so have a good holiday if you celebrate, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye for now.